In the blink of an eye, a Formula One race can transform it from a high-speed battle for glory into a fight for survival. In Formula One, the line between life and death is razor thin. In this video, we'll be looking at the moments that nearly claimed the lives of some of the sport's greatest talents. So make sure to stay around to the end. Romain Grosjean, Phoenix of the Flames. The date was November 29, 2020. As the Bahrain Grand Prix got underway, no one could have predicted the horror that was about to unfold. The race began like any other, with Lewis Hamilton asserting his dominance from pole position. In the very first lap, as the cars navigated between turns 3 and 4, chaos erupted. Romain Grosjean's Haas car veered wildly across the track, making contact with Daniil Kvyat's AlphaTauri. In a heartbeat, Grosjean's car hurled towards the barriers at a mind-numbing speed of 119 miles per hour. Grosjean's car didn't just hit the barrier, it pierced through it like a hot knife through butter. The impact was so violent that it split the car into two, with the front half lodged into the guardrail. The track was illuminated instantly by a massive fireball, the likes of which hadn't been seen in F1 for over 3 decades. As the world watched in horror, the gravity of the situation became clear. The medical car, which always follows the field on the first lap, arrived at the scene within seconds. Dr. Ian Roberts, the FIA medical delegate, showed incredible bravery as he rushed towards the inferno. For 28 agonizing seconds, Grosjean was trapped in what could only be described as a literal hell on Earth. Later, he would recount those moments, describing how time seemed to stretch forever. For me, it felt like a minute and 30 seconds, Grosjean would later say. In those terrifying moments, Grosjean's mind raced. He thought about Niki Lauda, the F1 legend. I said, no, I can't finish like Niki. I can't finish like this, Grosjean recalled. The Frenchman even had a moment where he accepted his fate, thinking, I'm dead. But Grosjean wasn't ready to give up. With superhuman determination, he managed to free himself from the burning wreckage. Fernando Alonso, defying gravity twice. But Grosjean's miraculous escape wasn't the only heart-stopping moment in Formula One's recent history. Just a few years earlier, in 2018, another driver found himself staring death in the face at one of the most challenging circuits on the calendar, Spa-Francorchamps. It was like the Belgian Grand Prix, and as the cars funneled into the notoriously tight La Source hairpin on the first lap, chaos ensued. Nico Hülkenberg misjudged his braking point, slamming into the back of Fernando Alonso's McLaren. The impact launched Alonso's car into the air, sending it careening over the top of Charles Leclerc's Sauber. Alonso's McLaren flew directly over Leclerc's cockpit. The slow-motion replay would later reveal just how close Alonso's car came to Leclerc's head. It was mere inches, the difference between life and death. As the dust settled, it became clear that the recently introduced halo had once again proven its worth. The titanium structure had taken the brunt of the impact from Alonso's flying car, leaving visible scuff marks, but protecting Leclerc from what would have been a fatal blow. This wasn't the first time Alonso was flying in the air. The 2016 Australian Grand Prix was set to be an exciting season opener, but on lap 17, the race took a thrilling turn that would leave spectators and fellow drivers in shock. As the cars thundered around Albert Park Circuit, Fernando Alonso's McLaren was tucked up behind Esteban Gutierrez's Haas. Approaching turn 3, Alonso attempted to overtake, moving to the outside. In a split second, everything went wrong. Alonso's reaction time was just a fraction too slow, and he clipped the back of Gutierrez's car. Alonso's McLaren MP431 slammed into the outside wall at an angle that prevented any speed dissipation. The impact launched the car into a terrifying somersault, sending it cartwheeling through the air in a shower of debris. The McLaren flipped end over end, rotating approximately 1.5 times and spending 0.9 seconds airborne, time they were seemed to stand still as spectators watched in horror, fearing the worst for the 2-time world champion. Finally, Alonso's shattered car came to rest against a wall upside down. Then, miraculously, movement. Alonso wriggled free from the wreckage, visibly shaken but alive. The FIA's investigation revealed the full terrifying details of the crash. Alonso had been traveling at an astonishing 194 miles per hour when he began his overtake maneuver, slowing only marginally to 189 miles per hour at the point of impact. The initial collision with the wall subjected Alonso to a peak lateral deceleration of 45 Gs. As the car slid towards the gravel trap, its left side dug in, propelling it into the air once more with a lateral deceleration of 46 G. When it finally landed, the rear impact absorbing structure took the brunt of the force, with Alonso experiencing a peak longitudinal acceleration of 20 G. The fact that Alonso walked away from this horrific crash with only a cracked rib is nothing short of miraculous. Alonso himself was acutely aware of his luck, stating, "I'm lucky to be here and thankful to be here. I'm aware that today I spent some of the luck remaining in life. I want to thank McLaren and the FIA for the safety of this car. I'm alive thanks to the job of the last 10 to 15 years in Formula One." Robert Kubica, the Montreal Miracle. On June 10, 2007, the Canadian Grand Prix in Montreal became the stage of one of the most spectacular crashes in recent F1 history. Robert Kubica, driving for a BMW Sauber, was about to experience a devastating moment that would leave the motorsport world in shock. As the race approached its midpoint, Kubica battled for position with Gennaro Trulli's Toyota. Coming out of the hairpin into the long back straight, Kubica's car clipped the rear of Trulli's, sending the BMW into a terrifying trajectory. Kubica's car left the track at nearly 186 miles per hour, slamming into a concrete wall at an almost perpendicular angle. The impact was so severe, it tore the front end of the car clean off. But the nightmare was far from over. The remains of Kubica's car careened across the track, barrel rolling multiple times before coming to a rest on its side against the opposite barrier. As debris rained down and dust settled, an eerie silence fell over the circuit. The severity of the crash cannot be overstated. Kubica had been subjected to a force of 75 G upon impact, a level of deceleration that can be fatal. Yet miraculously, he escaped with only a sprained ankle and a slight concussion. The carbon fiber monocule, designed to withstand enormous impacts, had done its job perfectly, creating a protective cocoon around the driver. The Hans device, mandatory in F1 since 2003, had prevented potentially fatal neck injuries. Kubica's rapid recovery was essentially astounding. Just a few decades earlier, a crash of that magnitude would almost certainly have been fatal. Instead, Kubica was back in the car 3 races later, a testament to both his resilience and the effectiveness of F1's safety measures. Niki Lauda, the man who came back from the brink. However, to truly appreciate how far F1 has come regarding safety, we must look back at some of the most harrowing incidents from earlier eras of the sport. One incident involving the legendary Niki Lauda occurred at the 1976 German Grand Prix at the Nürburgring. Lauda, already a world champion and at the peak of his career, crashed heavily on the race's second lap on August 1, 1976. His Ferrari swerved off the track, hit a barrier, and burst into flames. Lauda was trapped in the burning wreck for almost a minute before other drivers were able to pull him out. The Austrian suffered severe burns to his head and inhaled hot, toxic gases that damaged his lungs. Many thought his career, if not his life, was over. Yet one of the most remarkable comebacks in sporting history, Lauda returned to racing just 6 weeks later, still bandaged from his burns. What do you think? Which one was the most devastating accident of all? Let us know in the comment section, and don't forget to subscribe. See you next time.